Coach, I know you said yesterday.
Say it again, Travis. I'm sorry.
Yesterday, when you said you were expecting that every game in the SEC might be a 1 or 2 possession game. What does it say about your team when you come out with a 20-point win?
I think it'll be rare. I wasn't saying any of that from a motivational standpoint. I just think from an analytics standpoint, it appears as though that's what you need to be prepared for. And similar to what it was the first 100 minutes of the game, it was a 0 possession game. And so that's just how thin I think the margin is, how elite the league has been going into game number 1. And so I think this will be a rarity.
That's why I got to be curious, was there something profound you said in the second half to get those guys to go from a tie game to be so dominant in the second half? And why were y'all so dominant in the second half?
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I don't really, Olin, honestly, I don't say anything different in pregame that I say at halftime or postgame. Even the days that we don't play, our communication and the things that we practice are pretty much the same. I thought from a statistical standpoint, those live ball turnovers that we had in the first half gave them way too many points in transition for us. And I think only playing with 2 turnovers in the second half is a big part of it. I also think we were much better attacking the paint in the second half than we were the first half. If you don't turn it over, but you accumulate a high number of long distance shots and you miss those shots, they're probably long rebounds that lead to 0 and 1 pass possessions. And that was too often for us. They're 4th in the country in their efficiency in transition, and we were giving them gas. We were feeding them too much in the first half. I think from a rebounding standpoint, we were much better in the second half. If you turn it over, you're not going to get a shot, so therefore you have no chance to get an offensive rebound. But our forwards, several of them had 0 offensive rebounds in the first half, and we did a dramatically better job in the second half, which helps us.
Did you anticipate y'all being so, again, more dominant in the paint? 48 points in the paint?
Well, I think some of it was in a variety of ways. I thought Gochi was tremendous, but I thought the maturity of our guys to give it to him was good. That was the most efficient he has been relative to scoring, but also from an offensive rebounding standpoint. And then I thought we had multiple guys that were doing a really good job of getting into the paint and forcing them into rotation. So when we didn't shoot it in the paint, those shots that we were taking from 3 were coming from inside out. And most teams will do a better job. We didn't. I know statistically speaking, we made about the same, which is nil, but we did a lot better job off the bounce and off the pass.
Texas had gotten a 6-point lead after Wade got the technical, and then they made the 3. And then you guys responded with a 10-0 run down the stretch of that first half. Just how critical is that stretch, especially with the bench players you guys had on the court, to carry momentum, especially on the defensive end into the second half?
That is the first thing that I said to Olin's question. That is the first thing that I did say in the locker room at halftime. I thought that group was tremendous. I thought they played with great fight. I thought Coach Devin did a really good job of keeping it out of sorts with a group that normally doesn't play together. And I thought offensively, I thought Mo was really solid, and I thought Andy did a good job as a secondary decision maker. That was a big stretch. Considering we have guys that I think we're dependent on offensively. Bubba could tell you, but we had more consecutive stops with that group in the first half than we did with our heavy minute guys. I thought it was a big stretch. To be able to go in at halftime tied was due to them.
Well, it was a big game of the season. You said that Zurich was pretty far from his ceiling. Do you feel like is this kind of what you imagined, the performance that he had tonight?
I think he is as tough as they come. And I think he has the best smile of any player I've ever coached. And he has been as consistent of a human being in the 6 months that he's been here that I've ever seen. Has a lot of Dexter Dennis in regards to when I arrive, I'm ready to work. And when I work, I'll give you my best. And when you're talking, I'm going to listen with both eyes and both ears, and I won't move either lip. He has a very, you can tell how he's been raised. There's not a lot of bickering in the Phelps household, and I've never been there. You can tell I'm going to do exactly what I'm told, and I'm going to do a great job of it. I thought tonight he was much more consistent at being his best. He's played with an incredibly high turnover rate, considering how gifted he is. With the ball in his hand, he's jet quick. But the decisions that he makes at a jet quick pace has to continue to improve. Those 2 live ball turnovers he had in the first half, one was a dunk on one end and one was a 3 on the other end. He had another live ball turnover in the second half, right? Yep, I just told you it's 3 turnovers. I'm probably a little too sensitive to that. But, man, he is a really good on-the-ball defender. When he's able to go to the glass for us from an offensive standpoint, it helps our team. He's continuing to improve. I think his free throw rate will always be high. He just needs to shoot a better percentage. He did that tonight. And so all of that trends towards his floor game was much more consistent in regards to what we'll need.
Solo is, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what does it speak to that you go 2 of 19 from 3, but still win by 20 points?
I have some thoughts on that. I'm just grateful. I think we've got to live in day-tight compartments in a league that has the margins these have. I would say you could look through the annals of history, and very rarely, home or away, whether Texas A&M's involved or not, that you go 2 of 19. I think we did that against Kentucky one time here and lost by 6. That's hard to overcome. So that means you have to be hitting your ceiling in a lot of different ways other than that. And when you play a team as talented as Texas, there's not a lot of other ceilings to hit. So you probably need to get up on the roof and get up on top of the chimney. And I think in some ways we did.
Buzz, you were talking about those guys getting the stops there late in the first half. But for the entire second half, you held them 25%, 1 of 12 from 3. How impressed were you with the whole entire defensive performance?
Yeah, I think it's, Olin, there's the answer. It's because of what I said when we went in at halftime. Because I praised all those other guys for getting consecutive stops, and those hard-headed returners knew it wasn't them getting consecutive stops. I think we finished with 9 turkeys. Bubba, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And so how many we have in the second half? We had 6. That means we only had 3, and that means that 2 of them came from that group you're talking about. So that means all those really good players got 1 before we got in foul trouble, and we were in foul trouble because they couldn't guard them. So that's what I said. That's what it was. I'm just kidding.
Solo led y'all with rebounds tonight. He's talked about how he prides himself on defense. You've talked about how high of an IQ player he is. How much have you seen him mature, especially playing in a big game like this?
I'm thankful to be around him. I think if TJ and Solo took the Mensa test, they would have an identical score. They're for sure the 2 smartest people on Team Bus One. I think the thing that gets Solo in trouble is because he's so smart, emotionally sometimes he gets lost. And I think he's doing a better job from a maturation standpoint of handling the ambiance, the environment, the good call, the bad call, the runs. And like sometimes he gets so excited and he's doing all of this to the fans. And we clip that out, and he and I text about that. We don't need any of that. Your body language should be the same regardless of the score. And somebody that's evaluating you, and he's going to have a chance to be evaluated, they need to not be able to know if something happened good or bad if their TV's on mute. I didn't think Solo, Andy, or Henry were very good on the glass at all in the first half. And I thought that was the lever that was different in the second half. I thought the guy that was really, really unheralded, who did an incredible job, was H. Probably the least touted player that played in the Lone Star Showdown. But it's hard to grade guts. He's got big guts.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Gage. You ever
Was he in here?
Yeah, he's in here. You ever think in your life you look down at a score sheet and see that he had 3 offensive rebounds and Andy had none?
Andy is the Dominican Dennis Rodman, and when he's through here and there's no NCAA rules, I know some of you guys don't think there are now. I'm going to buy him every Dennis Rodman shirt, flag, hat, paraphernalia, because he is a savant on the glass, and he commands so much attention. And they're doing a lot of things, not the University of Texas. Every team is doing a lot of things to prevent him from getting the ball. But the consistency of what H does, I don't pay attention after I wave at my wife, but there's the starting lineup for the opponent. Not being sarcastic, I know who those guys are. Here's the starting lineup for our group. Not being condescending, I actually knew who was starting the game. So it's like the 2 minutes after I wave at Corey that I kind of try to remove the noise from my brain. And for whatever reason, I shake everybody's hand. And Rock and I have been talking about H the last few days. And just in happenstance, we've been talking about him. And I shook his hand before jump ball, and I go, "You see all them real dudes out there?" He goes, "Yes, sir." I go, "That's because you're a real dude. Get after it." And can he jump? No. Is he the strongest? No. Is he the best at any category? No. But he's going to give his best. And, man, I like guys that try real hard and that nobody thinks they can do it.
Coach, you mentioned earlier kind of not pandering to the crowd, but how much did that play a factor in today and just, I guess, getting the players to go on those runs?
Yeah, good word. Teach me what pandering means.
Just kind of playing to the crowd where...
Oh, I thought, yeah. I mean, we like playing at Reed. We appreciate the support. I thought we had a good student section considering school's still probably a couple of weeks away. I thought the season ticket holders and maybe some people that don't typically get to come because there were more seats available, marketing, whoever is in charge of all of that. I thought it was probably a little more of a healthy vibe than I thought it would be on January 4th on Conference Game 1. So we're appreciative of all their support.
The conversation you mentioned having with H, when your team's playing at the best, does that kind of epitomize the whole team as well, or just the identity of the team?
It's just that it's kind of like what's the sum of the parts is better than, like collectively we're better than individually. I just think that's what we've become, right? And I think Monaco asked me a couple of things in pregame, and then he was bringing it up in postgame. I think the thing, Travis, that's like invisible is the awareness of everybody in the organization on what they do best. And it's very rare to have that awareness. But I think kind of second level thinking, it's not just the awareness, it's the acceptance. I think every player, I think every coach, I think every helper coach, I think every manager, I think there's very distinct role definition. And if that's your bucket, you're the head coach of it. Not me, you are. And we need you to be accountable for your bucket because it's important collectively to what we do. Because there's not one thing that we do great. There's not one thing that we do that suggests the next 17 that we have a chance. But if you add up all of those buckets, the acceptance, of what they're in charge of. That's hard to get, right? It's taken us 6 years to get it. And I understand the industry, the exposure, you got to win now, or you're no good and everybody needs to leave. I get all of that. But relative to the organization and what we have to do every day, continue to get reps and make sure that we're aware and accepting. Like, H is accepted. H doesn't have to be here. H has already graduated. And H is here because he cares, not for some unseen tweet. Like, he's already graduated, but he cares about our group, and he has a burning desire to have success in a very humble way. He wants to have success, but his nature is so giving, and I think we have a group like that.
Trophy games aren't really common in
Yeah, I was wondering what this was.
in basketball. Is it cool to have some little hardware at a point like this?
Sure. What is it?
It's for the whole season series for A&M and Texas games. For all.
They just keep passing this back and forth?
I think it's multiple sports.
It's all sports.
Yeah.
So like that was at the football game and the volleyball games.
Yeah, and so I know this sounds wrong. So the University of Texas brought this to tonight's game because they won the football game? And so when we play in Austin, you're going to carry it back?
Each school has a trophy.
Oh.
They don't travel.
Each school's got
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, that doesn't even make sense. So what, we just, if you win, you like get to show it for a day or until you play again?
Yes.
Well, what is Cotton Holdings? That's a company that's,
It's a sponsor, yes.
that's the sticker on the floor.
Yes, sir.
That's important. Okay, well, does Cotton Holdings know that there's 2 trophies and we're just like, you think they know?
I think they know.
They may be upset by this exposure right here. Yeah, we're excited.
Thanks, Coach.